Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Sight. Today we have Game 4 of Crossroads. It's going to be my Elves versus Joe Ferry and his Trident Realms. So this is Joe is on team Put Me in Mark. So we are, um, yeah, we're uh, after in the last game, like we said, we're still sitting at top table. Put Me in Mark is right up there. I think they're just behind the Nerdhammer team that we had played in round three, or like dead even with them. So since we're slightly ahead of both of them, we stayed at top table and played Put Me in Mark since Nerdhammer was somebody we already played. So going into this particular matchup, the Trident Realms was definitely one of the lists that I looked at and said that's one of the ones I want to play against as an elf player. So feeling pretty confident going into it. So we're gonna dive right in here. So Joe's list, he has a Regiment of Thule with the Helm of the Drunken Ram, two regiments of placoderms, a regiment of depth horrors, excuse me, a horde of gigas with the staying stone, two knuckers, a coral giant with the slayer option, the centurion with the trident and boots of levitation, Thule Aquamage with the rising tide, sacred horn, has the icy breath it comes with, and he bought bark skin as well. Then he has Depth Horror, and he has the formation. One of the Thule has sharpness, the other one has strength, and then the character gets the Gnome Glass Shield, knowledgeable, and host Shadow Beast 2, as you do. So 14 drops, 24 unit strength. Um, yeah, pretty solid list all around. Has quite a few tools in it. Um, it just does not want to see the speed and the shooting that elves can really put out. So, like I said, going into this, I've played against a very similar list quite frequently. One of my locals, Billy Henninger, plays Trident Realms and has been for the past year, and he's used a lot of similar units. So I am very familiar with the army and understand kind of the ins and outs of what it's doing and what it wants to do, and I feel very comfortable. Uh, and there is Joe, and I feel like also to put matters into more into my favor, we're playing Pillage, which is I would say my favorite scenario for this elf army. So here is the board after I won first turn as well. So again, just pile on the advantages is all we're doing here. But so, or actually, we're not playing pillage. We're playing smoke and mirrors. I'm sorry. So kind of pillage, but yeah. So this is the board here. So we got two impassables across the middle, one left, one right. The hills on opposite corners. Forest is left, central, and center. Field and right here, and pond up here. Obstacle here, and then there's an obstacle jetting out on the other side of this building over here. For tokens, I won roll off for side, so I just stayed on this side. For tokens, I put my 2 pointer here, a 1 pointer here, and a 1 pointer here. 0 point back here, and 0 point is back in the left somewhere. And obviously, we don't know where Joe put his tokens. So but he put a token here on the left. There's one close by the field somewhere here, one in the trees, one back here, and then one, I think it's under the troop over here. So, and then deployment. So Joe put down the Regiment of Thule with the helm of the ram over here. Knucker, Placoderm, Depthor Eternal, the Gigas. Both of his formation Thule with his formation character. His caster, the Barkskin caster's back here with another Knucker. The regiment of Depthors with the Centurion right next to them. Then he has Placoderms on the far right with the Giants sitting next to them. Yeah. For me, I went with Brutal Dracons on the left, Regiment of Seaguard here. I with the combination of both characters. So I have the Alchemist Curse Mage and Nimue. Battle Cat's back here. I feel like that's enough to get my 2-pointer. And then potentially, if this is worth a point, I have an extra unit ideally. These guys are just going to shred through any unit over the course of a turn or two. Any one of these regiments is just toast. Silver Breeze Regiment, Drakon Horde, Horde of Seaguard, Regiment of Silver Breeze here with the troop. Hex, Trickster's Wand hexing right here. Got to stop that Barkskin while we can. Last regiment of Drakons over on the far right, and the Battle Cats over here. Just playing defense, looking to where are those tokens that he puts on my side going to be. So moved up like so. Going to get some shooting off. Otherwise, nothing much happens on first turn. So care about those things anyway. Um, Sorry, guys. All right, so yeah, a little closer look at his deployment over here. This is after I shot. I did 9 wounds to these guys between these two, and I think it was the bolt thrower. Nah, the bolt thrower couldn't get there. But yeah, that's a great start. Um, yeah, so we picked them up in the first turn. Really ideal for us. And again, this is a 1-point token right here. That one's worth nothing. So Joe's turn. Or this is back after my movement, in fact. But Joe's turn. He moved up aggressively with the Knucker here and the Knucker there. The Centurion moved up, shot these guys, and actually wavered them with 1 wound or 2 wounds. So he did pretty good with the waiver there. He moved up with the giant. We can't really see here, and the placoderms. And I just flew over and I'm getting a better angle. So, yeah, his movement, like his only shooting is the Centurion. I can't get out of the Knuckers charge here, but basically I'm setting it up to where I don't think I'm actually finished moving quite yet, but we'll take a quick look. So, yeah, I haven't finished moving yet because I'm definitely not sitting behind the building with these guys. So this was his movement. Pretty typical, pretty expected. He didn't really have many places to go with the Knuckers, but he's going to try to get them up there and working on something. Having a phalanx unit here, as long as I do a wound, which isn't guaranteed because hindered and snared, so hitting on 6s with elite. If I do a wound, though, I strip his nimble, so he's going to be pretty well stuck right there. And just not many options for him that otherwise he would have to try and flank the Dracons or get to something else. So yeah, my I didn't do good on pictures with this one, but my movement over here, we see me run over with the Alchemist Curse. I pop Fly, so I get some Cloak of Death on each of these guys. And we focus down shooting onto that regiment, and we get it because there's nothing inspiring it over here. Over here, we also brought the regiment of Silver Breeze. They were able to shoot as well at the unit on the hill. They're stealthy, so not a whole lot of damage, but it's still something. We do end up doing 2 wounds. In fact, we get a really lucky waiver. But even if we didn't get a waiver, we've knocked Nimble off of him. So the best thing he could do would have been to charge the front of these guys, possibly. But he would not have been able to charge these guys or the dogs because of the angle. So I think I did give him a front charge onto the Dracons. I was kind of okay with that. But yeah. So, and then over here, we flew these guys over, stayed out of charge range of the Naiad Centurion, but he could still walk over, shoot us with the or run over because he has levitation, sit in front of us, shoot us with the Trident, and made it to where we're no longer flying, we're no longer nimble, so we're just stuck there, and he's gonna grind us down eventually. So to avoid that from happening, I just charged him with the Rampage character and got him up to 4 wounds. This bastard has regen though, and he's never going to be easy to kill. If he flubs a regen roll, then I could get lucky, but yeah, either way. And then shooting, we pump some wounds into the Knucker because we know we're going to have to kill that thing here shortly. So, yeah. So, yeah, and this is the positioning we were going for. So if he charges, he can charge the front of either of these 2 units. If he charges this unit, fails to break him, I have a rear charge with the regiment. And if he charges the regiment, then I just have a flank charge. But I'm in a position with this troop that was wavered. It wouldn't have been able to shoot anyway because of the stupid disordering trident. In a position where he can't charge with his Coral Giant, which is the main thing we're going for. Our dogs are also out of charge range, so but they're hanging out in the winds, ready to charge when needed. So, yeah. And then we just keep backing up in the center here. We ran the cav out of the way, so they're out of front arc. And then these guys, I don't even think he can see past the building with the depth horror character, but we're actually putting the moons into the depth horror character right now because the individual and the stealthy cover guys that are sitting back there really doing nothing at this point, I'm kind of okay with. So, yeah. So this is Joe's turn 2. Get a little closer here. So, like I said, a lucky waiver. So he just backed up as much as he could at this point with that unit. To get backing up, I don't think I would have backed up that far. I think I only would have withdrew an inch just to make it to where it's hinder charge again. But he doesn't have any good options for these guys, so he keeps the Dracons in the front, and then just turns the face just in case for some reason I keep my individuals in front of him. But yeah, just not going to give him any charges with these units that are kind of sitting there unsupported at this point. So he does start creeping up a little bit with the depth horror, the gigas. He brings these guys out of the cover because he realizes that his flanks are going to crumble, or like the right flank doesn't even necessarily have to crumble. I just flew over top of it. I'm not able to charge him this turn, but I'll be there soon enough. So, and then he brings the giant around, turns the placoderms around. He's basically sitting here saying, well, maybe one of these two tokens is worth a point and the placoderms can sit on it. So I think at the end of the first turn, we each flipped over a 0 point token. So the token that was by the building here was not worth anything. So good information to know. And we'll flip another one over at the end of Joe's turn here. So he charges in, he does 4 wounds, and he gets a waiver onto my troop, which is probably one of the better outcomes I can hope for. Because again, I have a rear, and then also looking at it because I'm not playing the lip of the bases with these. It's actually going to be a clear charge, so I'm not hindered. So that I feel I usually don't feel comfortable with these guys charging, but a rear charge into an already damaged knucker, I think they can handle that. I hope they can handle that. It's not even inspired, so. Otherwise, there was really nothing else that he could do. He just moved forward with his individual as well. And then we flip over tokens. I think I flipped over this one over here on the left. It's worth a point, so that's why the battle cats are running towards it. And I think he flipped over the one back here that was worth 0 points. Yeah, so I think he's flipped over both the 0 pointers at this point. So this is my turn 3 movement here. There was no reason for me to really get aggressive or anything, so I'm just going to shoot these guys because I have Alchemist Curse. Cloak of Death is just going to do wounds. I ended up running Nimue with the Cloak of Death over here, so she hit this unit, these guys, and maybe this guy. I forget exactly, but I just wanted a better position, and the Cloak of Death was all that was really going to do damage. I didn't really think the Fireball wounding on 6s was going to be worth a whole lot, so I'd rather just get in a good position so that I can be fireballing more important stuff over the next couple turns. Obviously, we charge again, hindered and snared. It's not ideal, but we have him pinned to a building now. He has no withdraw options. So, and I'm out of his front arc with the Dracons. So there's no way he actually gets away from this unit at this point in time. I'm also out of 10 inches of the placoderm, so even if I don't break them, it doesn't really matter. And then in the center here, this individual running up and has the wild charge forced my Dracons to back up as far as they could. So I am out of the potential charge range, even with the +1 or a wild charge running up and getting in range. So the Dracons are at the board edge, just buying their time. Eventually, they will pounce. But our shooting focus, because we turn these guys around, our shooting focus is on to this character. This character here. So his individual can charge the left regiment or the horde, but nothing else is charging the horde this turn. We were able to get out of range, so and nothing else can see these guys. So charge the rear, withdrew, and reformed. So it's a front charge over here. I went ahead and ran the battle cats this way just because there really wasn't a good positioning for them anywhere else, and I didn't think them hitting the flank was actually going to be necessary. Because worst case scenario is I just waiver this unit, but yeah. And then we went ahead and charged the individual before we moved the character, so that they ended up looking like this. Again, that guy has regen, so his 6 wounds he had last turn goes down to 2. We flew our character here, so we're going to try and hex him. As you can see, he put 3 Barkskin tokens on one of these guys this last turn, so yeah. Shooting, we killed the Depth Horror, as expected. We kill the Knucker in combat. We wavered this guy, which I forgot to mention. The character wavered him last turn. And look, he's back up to 6 wounds again after these guys charged him. And that Knucker's still there, so obviously we didn't do enough. So that was my turn 3. Joe's turn 3. Um, he is just in a bad spot. He's kind of surrounded. Doesn't really have a lot of good options with the units in the middle. So, uh, got this unit up to 7 wounds. They had 2 from Cloak of Death, so 5 from the Alchemist Curse is excellent. And yeah, so you can see his positioning. These Thule actually did a 180. They're facing backwards right now because this guy can charge them. The Dracons back here are not in range of the Thule. They are in range of the Gigas though. And then these Thule turn to look to the right. So because of the penetration I was able to get with the flyers on the right flank and up the center, forcing him to spin around effectively here. And then he's moving these guys up because they were out of charge range. He's charging here. All stuff we expected. He kills the troop. After I killed the Knucker, I reformed to look this way. I am not in the woods, so he overran. So it looks like he rear charged, but it was just an overrun. I think the Knucker did get a fight this turn. Did some damage over here. Joe's dice weren't really kind to him on his on this character in particular, but in general his dice weren't great. So this character comes in, he has like 5 attacks base, crush 1, thunder 1, so he's hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. Then he has another 4 attacks from the host Shadow Beast, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. I think he did like 3 wounds to this unit, 4 wounds maybe, which is significantly below average. So yeah, they didn't even get wavered. So unfortunate dice for Joe at this point. And yeah, I did not waver this guy, so he countercharged. I don't think he's rolled his regen, or actually, this is after the next turn. So again, I missed some stuff. So we look at the board here. What I end up doing is I actually triple charge the horde here. So these Dracons can see and they can fit in the flank. These ones hit the front, pop in the J boots, and then the character hits the flank. Because the Thule are all looking the wrong ways, I feel confident with that, and then I can just move up aggressively with my horde now. And this regiment, as well as the fireball from Nimue, I can kind of focus and damage, which this unit already has 4 wounds on it, so I'm going to try and pick on them. So this is after everything and beginning of Joey's turn. I had countercharged the character, didn't do enough to break him. I might have wavered him this turn up to 6, but he gets a rear charge with the placoderms on me. I do break the horde. I do break the other placoderms with the Alchemist Curse and Cloak of Death that was in there. Cloak of Death hit both the horde and the regiment, so the horde was up to like 2 wounds because of Cloak of Death at this point, making this triple charge even that much more guaranteed. We do kill off the Knucker. We do not kill off the Thule over here, though. The stealthy saved them for this turn. I think they're only up to 6. So, yep. And then we're holding back the character here. Did a couple wounds to him. Yeah, 3 wounds is all he did to me. Just awful. We do at this point find out that the token in the woods was worth 2 points, and I think I forget Joe. Yeah, there we go. Joe found out this one's worth 1 point. So at the end of Joe's turn here, we're gonna flip all of them over because we know by default what the last one's always going to be. So yeah, I Yeah, I didn't really have a good place to move the Silver Breeze. They couldn't clear the forest to not be seen by the giant. So yeah, I just kind of ran them up here. Um, yeah, I think it's fine at this point. So yeah. So Joe's turn four. He took the rear charge, he took the flank charge, and then he just turned around all these guys and he continued charging there. So we've whittled him down to where he has about one, two, three, four, five, six. He has 7 units left, but 3 of those are individuals at this point. So yeah. So he does a little bit more damage over here. Uh, he doesn't kill the regiment. In fact, doesn't even waver the regiment. I think this might have been where he might have given me a snake eyes on it. I forget how much damage they took, but yeah. So on my turn, I charged the Thule that was in the back of the pack here, and then I shot off the one that was in the front. And then I charged and finally killed the individual with my rampage guy. This was the one turn that he didn't roll very well for his regen, so we were able, and it was a rear charge, so we weren't affected by ensnare. And the battle cats are getting in on the rear action here against the giant, so we got a front and a rear into the giant here. So otherwise, we are holding this 1 point token, holding this 2 point token. This is a 1 pointer. This is a 1 pointer that we should guaranteed be getting, and the 2 pointer is under the giant here. So the only 1 point token that I'm not controlling at this point is over here because he does have the placoderms, and I do expect him to kill these guys. I think he just rolled absolute crap. Like even though they were hindered, these guys you should have been able to kill the Drakon regiment. I feel bad for Joe. It's a bad matchup, and then the dice just really screwed him over too in a lot of situations that he did get to roll dice. So, but Joe killed them this turn, overran to that position there on bottom of 5 here. Also, I think I snake eyes this unit here after doing a ton of damage to them. So they countercharged the injured guys, killed them off, and he did get Barkskin onto them this turn as well. So even though they're up to 14 wounds, I need to do 4 wounds before I actually force them to take a nerve test, which should be easy enough to do. So this is what it looks like top of 6. And we killed the giant with the triple charge that we had. We shot off the what's it called? The Thule. And yeah, he has his guys here on that token. If he charges either of these guys, I don't think he's in range, but even if he is, this is a unit strength 4 horde, so he's not controlling the 2 point token. So he's best just sitting on his 1 pointer. I did get this guy up to 8 wounds, but he's not dead. He's only done 7 wounds to me. I can't quite read that. I'm sorry. But yeah, he doesn't have the host shadow beats anymore, but still, like his 5 attacks are hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, and he's just not. It's just not working terribly well for him. I feel bad. So this is what it looks like at bottom of 6. I also had been putting some damage into any extra damage that didn't go into the Thule this turn went into the character. So Joe's hoping that the game ends here, and he's the one rolling the dice, and it does not end. Yeah, he just moved this guy over for inspiring purposes, so it doesn't end. So we got one more turn. So I'm just looking at it as this horde's unit strength 4, and I'm in range to charge. So if I charge, we'll be controlling the token here. So that's essentially what I end up doing. But I have to get things out of the way. So I fly the Drakon Lord over top of the horde of Drakons so that he controls this one. I charge, and then the horde just lands on the two, controls the 2 point token at that point. And then everybody that the two individuals go look to shoot at his character, and we try to finish off this character. We shoot him off, we kill him off, and we kill the placoderm, or we don't kill the placoderms. The placoderms were the one thing left alive. So, um, yeah, just a bad matchup and a favorable scenario. I feel like for me as well. So Joe Joe was definitely frustrated. Just he made some comments, and he and I were talking, and all in good fun. But he made comments like, I don't know why I don't just play elves. And it's like, speed 10 flyers, shooting, like it's just so easy, it's so good. Like why doesn't everybody play the army basically? So he and I talked a little bit and went over some alternative deployment techniques and discuss, if we were to play this scenario again, what is a strategy that's not just losing, I guess. It doesn't, it's not that it's going to be a winning strategy, but it doesn't just lose right off the spot. Because one of the things that I told him that my army loves to see is one, lists that don't have a whole lot of shooting like his, and then manageable speed units. So things that I can, control one way or another. And I explained to him, though, that one of the things that we really love to see as an elf player is somebody that spreads their line out and has just a single battle line. So anybody that's struggling against elves, I would highly recommend considering layering your units so you have more than one unit, so that if you lose the front line unit, there's something there to backfill. um, it it's difficult to manage. It doesn't work the best in some scenarios, but at the very least, you're not going to have the situation like Joe did, where there's just a Drakon regiment in your backfield on turn two. And then you're turning around all of your stuff on turn 3, 4, 5 because you're getting threat charges from the rear, from the front, from the flanks. Having multi-layer will help defend against that aspect. And then I also explained to him that doing that in combination with a denied flank, so choosing one side of the board and committing to that side. And in this scenario, I told him, it's not, it's not going to be perfect, but you get to place, 3 tokens that are worth points, and where those tokens are going to be. So, if we look at this battle map here, I explained to him that if you play a denied flank on his deployment was this bottom side that we're looking at here, but I explained to him, if you do a denied flank on this side of the board, so you have this board edge protecting you, and then you can use this impassable as kind of an anchor point. You can put, a 2 point token here, a 1 point token here, a 1 point token here. You have 4 points in a very small controllable area that you have an easy access to push up aggressively to. And then you use some of your defensive units to kind of make a wall and prevent things from coming around through the center of the board and hitting your flanks before you get past this impassable. And I also explained that we put those tokens down before deployment, so it's very possible that I would put a token worth points on this side of the board where you're planning on deploying all of your stuff. And in fact, in our game, if you guys remember, this is where I put my 2 pointed token, was outside of, just on his side of the half of the board, before this hill here. So, it, you know, yeah, that might have been, lucky hindsight and everything. But, when I showed him that, we physically put the units on the table. I showed him kind of what I would do if I was playing against this elf list. And, we did like a turn one movement scenario, and just, walked through it. And I think Joe appreciated that, and he saw that you're not completely helpless against the flyers and the shooting of the elves. There are ways um, to defend against them, at least make it to where it's a game. It's always going to be an uphill battle with the matchup of elves versus Trident realms. I just there's just nothing you can do about the matchup in some games. But this will give you a fighting chance and make it to where you're just not rolling over. And once you just your flanks fall and things are behind you, there's just nothing you can really do when you don't have shooting or recovery method, which the Trident realms just at least this list just didn't have. So um, I think Joe definitely took some of that advice to heart, because he was telling me, for like right after the game, like 30 minutes later, he's like, "Hey, we should re-rack and play again." So he wants another go, which usually when it's a bad matchup, a lot of people are like, "Nope, I don't ever want to play that again." But he was chomping at the bit. So much respect to you, Joe. I really appreciate the game, and I'm glad to hear that you're feeling a little bit more comfortable. And I'm sure that we'll get another game in at some point. There's many people on your side of the country that I want to play, and I have a lot of people still check off the list, but. I appreciate the game, and as we can see here, Team Dropping Trow is definitely holding on to the lead. So I did have a big win, but it looks like all of my club mates also pulled out a win in this particular matchup. So really awesome to see, coming out strong in the first game of day two. So we got to finish strong though, because the last round has uncapped points. So up to this point, we were limited to 60 points total. So it is very possible that somebody could jump us, and somebody like Nerdhammer, who was just behind us. At this point, they could easily be still just 5 to 10 points behind us, and well within striking distance if we don't close it out strong. Um, so yeah, we're very excited to be at this point guaranteed top table going into round five, and we expect that it's going to be a difficult matchup. So appreciate you all for watching, and come check out what Game 5 has in store for us on the next one.